Today we are going to look at how to get into programming using flowchart. Okay, so let's start with that. In this video, we are going to see how to write program or coding without actually using a particular language. Okay, a particular programming language like Java or C Sharp or any. We are not going into a particular language in this session. Okay, because programming concept is independent of any programming language. Whatever language you use, the programming concept is the same. So what we are trying to do here is to understand this particular programming concept, and we are going to use flowchart. Flowchart is not particular to any particular language. Okay, it's a general thing. So by doing this, we will be able to concentrate on the programming aspect of the concept of the of it. Okay, we don't have to worry about if you are going to learn a particular programming language, then you will be concerned with the syntax. That is, what are the rules of that language, how do they allow certain things to do, what are the things they allow to do, what are the things they don't allow to do. All that specific to a particular language you will have to learn before you learn that particular programming language. But whatever you learn on that language will not always be true if you are learning another language. That language will have another set of rules and another set of things. So programming language by language, the concept, or so not the concept, the syntax and how you use and the rules are changing. So that means when you directly go and try to learn a programming language, you are going to get stuck with the particular syntaxes and whatever, but that will not be useful when you go into another programming language. So that is why we are going to do this same thing using flowchart. Flowchart is not tied up to any particular language, and whatever you learn here, when you want to convert it into a particular programming language, you can study that language and convert this into that particular language. Okay, so once you learn the programming concept using the flowchart, you know what the programming concepts are. You don't have to relearn those, whatever language you want to learn. Okay, so that is why we are getting into this. To do this, we are going to use flowchart. As I already mentioned, we will not be using the traditional flowchart. Okay, there is a reason for that. I will explain to you in a minute. Instead, we will use something known as NS chart. Okay, to do this flowchart introduction. The problem is when you use the traditional flowchart and write code, use that to write your programs, there is a very good chance that you will get into unstructured programming, which is known as spaghetti code. Spaghetti, you know what spaghetti means? Like noodles, it's all over the place. You know, it's tied up here and there, and you know you can't follow it properly. That's why they call it. It's confusing. That's why the term spaghetti is used. So you get used to unstructured programming if you start learning coding using flowchart, the traditional flowchart. Okay, and when you write that, what happens mainly is while you're writing, you might understand what you're writing, but after few months, if you want to modify it or change it or do some adjustment to the flowchart you have done, it will be very difficult because you will not be able to track it. It's so unstructured and so spaghetti like. Finding out where a particular thing is happening will be very, very difficult to handle. So doing changes in the future is going to be very, very difficult if you specifically write spaghetti code. Okay, you can write proper programming also in traditional one, but most of the time you will end up writing spaghetti code because it encourages in a way to write spaghetti code. I will show you that in a minute. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to use something called NS chart, which allows us to write structured programming. Why? How? Because once you go and see the symbols that are available in the NS chart, and by its design, you will understand you are not allowed to do unstructured. Okay, if you have to actually, let me put it this way, you have to work very, very hard to make your programs unstructured. Whatever you write will generally be structured. So the majority of time it will be structured unless you go out of your way and make it unstructured. Okay, whereas the traditional flowchart is the other way around. it will, when you write, you can just go ahead and write all unstructured things. But if you want to write structured program using the traditional flowchart, you have to work hard at that and somehow make it structured. But NS chart by design itself, it is done for the structured programming. So if you want to do unstructured way, you're going to have a tough time in that. Okay, right. So why are we talking about this structured and unstructured? Because when you write a program, it's not a one-time thing. You have to maintain that, because as people start using that, they will request for changes, modifications, and so on. So then you should be able to go back and look at your program or the flowchart and figure out, okay, what you have done there, and the new change that they're asking, where do we put it? How do we put it? It should be easy. Now, if it is a structured thing that you have done, it will be easy for you to understand where you have to go and modify, what you have to do, and do the changes. Whereas if you have done it in a spaghetti manner, it is really a headache, and actually you will want to rewrite the whole thing rather than go and modify an existing one. You will always prefer to rewrite a new thing, and that is going to take a lot of time. So that is why from the beginning I'm insisting, when you're writing program, you have to be very structured and proper and decent. Always think about future. When a change is required, when they ask for a change to be done, you should be ready to do that. You should be able to do that. So keeping that in mind only, you write your program, and NS chart will help you a lot to write structured programs. So when we get into NS chart, you will see that. Okay, so maintaining your program is the most important thing when you're writing coding, so you have to remember that part. Okay, right. Now let's see, just for the sake of it, how does a traditional flowchart look like. These are the symbols you will be using for the traditional flowchart. Okay, this circular thing you use, oval thing you use to indicate the beginning or the end, start and end of your flowchart. This symbol is used. That's how they give you. In this traditional flowchart, these are the symbols they provide you. Okay, and they say, okay, if you want to do start and end, you use this one, and from one point to another point, when you want to go, you use the arrow. And if you are trying to take something from the user input, or you want to show something out to the user on the screen or print or output, you use this symbol. Okay, and if you want to do processes like assign a value to a variable or do something, all the other things other than the input output and the start and end, you are asked to use the process symbol. This is a rectangle, as you can see, and this is not a rectangle. Okay, so when you write this, it means either it is an input or output. When you're writing a rectangle, it means it's a process. That's so most of the code will be, most of the things that you will be using will be in the process. Okay, whenever you want to take something in a display something on the screen only, you will be using this. To go from one place to another, you use this. Start and end, you use this. And then in the programming area, you also need to make decision. If it is this, I want to do this. If it is this, I want to do that, something else. That is a very, very common requirement. Okay, so for that they provide this symbol, diamond symbol, for decision purpose, and we will see how these are used in a when you how to use them and write a flowchart. Now you don't have to really study this hard. I just want to show you how a traditional flowchart looks like. That is all my purpose here. Okay, so look at this example. Now here is a flowchart, traditional flowchart written using these symbols. So if you look at this symbol, see, start, beginning of the program is indicated by the star, and that is in this symbol, and the same symbol is used here to indicate the end of the program. So when you look at the flowchart, you know, okay, where you are going to start and where it is going to end. That is very straightforward. Then unfortunately couldn't find out an example to use an input. So in this flowchart we are not showing any input or output. That is why this symbol is not there, but other than this symbol, all the others are there. So let's look at the arrows. See, arrows is there. So here we are showing from start you go to this one, from this 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 you go to this one. So arrow is used in this sense to indicate from a point where you go. See, from here, from here you are going here, from here you are going back here. So you can do that. Arrow, you can point to any place you like depending on your requirement. Okay, So here the arrow is used from here to go down. Here something's being done. This is a process. So if you look at this, this is a process, this is a process, this is a process, this is a process, this one is a process, this one is a process, all are rectangle. This one is a process. Only these two are decisions. Diamond. These are decisions. So what happens? Let's just quickly take a look at it. You start this and you enter the program. Now just imagine this is how you are going to say create a email account in Google. Just imagine that Gmail account you are going to create. So first you go to Google, enter the website, and then the website will ask you, do you have an account? Okay, if you have an account, so whenever you have this diamond, there will be always two outcomes, yes and no. So if it is yes, you can do something. If it is no, you can do something. Always from a diamond, there should be only two exits, one for yes and one for no. So do you have an account? Have an account? No. Then what do they say? Okay, go and sign up. That means you give your information, your name, create a user ID, password, all that thing, fill out the information and submit. And then your account will be created. So once the account is created, you're coming back to this to re-log into the Gmail account. If it is Gmail, it could be anything. Okay, I'm just talking about Gmail. So you log into the Gmail and then you enter the user ID, password, or whatever. And is the password and user ID correct? Yes, you will be allowed to go in, create your mail and check your mail and do whatever. And that is what this whole process is showing here. If your email or whatever your login information is false, then it will go back and it will ask you to re-log in. Okay, re-enter your what do you call, whatever you typed in, your information is not valid. So it will go back into this. And then again it will ask for a login. So you enter another set of email and password. Okay, if that is okay, you accept the email and password. If that is not okay, again it will go back to the login. If it is okay, it will come here. So if it is okay, it will come here, do the job, and then you exit the email and you end it. So normally a flowchart is to show you how you do a certain thing. This is basically what a program also will be. So if you are writing a program using this traditional flowchart symbol, it will look something like this. This is just an example, okay? But you don't have to worry too much about this because we are not doing it in this manner, okay?